It's the Slam Dunk.
I think it's well past time that people in public office who clearly demonstrate they've wasted vast sums of taxpayers' or ratepayers' money with no result, they should be held accountable. But how do we do this? I don't know how you'd hold someone accountable, but we're just wasting too much money. Something more than just turfing them out of office needs to be done. Now, I don't know what you do. Maybe like the sex offenders register, you have a reckless spender register. And what we do is we list the names of those ministers who couldn't stop spending on pet projects and nothing projects that went nowhere. Seriously, Labour's roll call of horrors is now long, and all this money with nothing to show for it has been spent, you see. All the money on a Māori health authority that's being ripped apart by National, so National can take some blame for that too. Hundreds of millions of dollars on ferries that we never got to ride on and never saw and never existed. 1.2 billion on Three Waters, and finally we go back to status quo. Billions on a health sector change that National is pulling apart. I mean, the list goes on and on. Hundreds of millions on Kiwi Build, and then they dumped it. And $50 million on a cycleway across the Auckland harbour that came to nothing. The consultants did well out of this, didn't they? Roading programs in Auckland are now on hold because, well, National's pulled the fuel levy. So basically, that's been done to make the cost of living cheaper, but the council's now out of money. So the council should be part of this accountability drive too. Pedestrian crossings for 500k when they're 50k in Wellington. Time's up for that rort, I say. The vast money spent by the last government on projects that never happened has been eye-watering. It's sort of eyes on stalk stuff as National sought to wind up these projects. And so there'll be so much wastage that we simply don't know about as well. There'll be all sorts of projects that are being pulled back that aren't headline ones. I'm hearing scary reports of Kāinga Ora having blank cheques to spend what it likes and staff over ordering materials on a grand scale. What for? In many ways, you could blame both parties for this because despite money being spent on something that National hasn't hesitated to stop it, basically. That's what they've done. But mainly Labour. It's come from their time in office. National's just adding to the narrative by pulling it all apart, I suppose, because they don't agree with it. Look at Three Waters. Labour spent $1.2 billion on those reforms. $1.2 billion. And National's now packing up the tent saying, sorry, you're gone. What do we get for $1.2 billion? That's down the drain. We need these two parties to never treat our money in such a contemptuous way ever again. They've got to come together on this. And we have to write a law that makes sure they do. We've been doing it hard for a number of years, and the casual attitude to spending our money and blowing up projects is an affront to us, and it's an insult to how we treat our own private money. $1.2 billion could build a subdivision to house many, many Kiwis. It would double the Farm Act budget overnight, and we could get all the drugs that Australia provides and be on a par with them overnight. This would save dozens and dozens, probably actually hundreds and hundreds of New Zealand lives on the spot. The reason why there is a shortage of public money right now at a government level is because we spend what we have unwisely. And over the past few years, it's been like a pack of drunks being given the keys to the booze store and getting on it. Let's come up with a new approach to hold our politicians accountable for those mistakes and get them to understand the value of our money and the value of the public dollar. And let's get an order in front of them that says, we'll dock your pay if you get this wrong. We'll dock your pay for the rest of your life as you pay it back slowly. Even if it does take us about 50 years, we want the money back.